everybody. My name's Sophia. This is my brand new reading YouTube channel called Soph Reads, where I will be doing book reviews, book recommendations, and of course, reading vlogs to get you acquainted to myself and to my brand new reading channel. Today, I'm going to be doing the A to Z book tag challenge. Okay, so to start, we'll start with letter A, and A is for author that you've read the most books from. And for me, that would actually be J.K. Rowling. I am a huge Harry Potter fan. I own the full series as softcover and as hardcover. I just grabbed Sorcerer's Stone. My favorite is probably Prisoner of Azkaban or Deathly Hallows. I just love Harry Potter so much. It's been one of my favorite series since I was like 14 or 15. And moving along to B, this is for Best Sequel, the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. This is A Court of Mist and Fury. I love Sarah J. Maas and I love these books so much. They'll always be in a special place in my heart. And C is for currently reading. I actually just started Bride by Ali Hazelwood last night. I'm on the second chapter. And because I like to read more than one book at a time, I also just started the new Jessa Hastings, The Conditions of Will, last night as well. And I am on chapter 3. My best friend handmade me a Bible verse bookmark. So, of course, I'm using that because she also gifted me The Conditions of Will. D is for drink of choice while reading. I love tea, but honestly, I'm a big coffee person. I tend to drink iced coffee when I get coffee out. And when I'm reading at home is usually when I'm drinking my most coffee, and that would be hot coffee made by yours truly. I'm also a big fan of water, so honorable mention. E is for e-reader or physical book. I do use both. I have a Kindle. I actually just got this Kindle, my very first one, last year. So I've had the e-reader experience for about a full year now. I also am a big fan of reading in the dark, which you can't particularly do with a physical book unless you have a really good book light. I love being able to do that with my Kindle. I feel like when my eyes are tired and sensitive from a day of schoolwork or just being out and about, I want to just turn my lights off, lay under my blanket, get comfortable, read on my Kindle. I do really love the feeling of turning book pages though. I love the smell of a book. I love going book shopping and buying physical books. And I also love thrifting physical books. So it's definitely going to be probably a tie for me, honestly. I think there are so many pros and cons to both. And honestly, it really just depends on my mood and how comfortable I'm trying to be while I'm reading. F is for favorite fictional character. I have quite a few. For my favorite female main characters, I love America from The Selection, and I love Katniss from The Hunger Games. Katniss will always be probably my top favorite fictional character. And I also love Farah from A Court of Thorns and Roses. I think she's such a badass. I don't even know if that was quiet because I have the microphone. My favorite male characters, especially romantic interest wise, PETA is always going to take the cake for me, especially like Catching Fire PETA. I also am so partial to Josh Hutcherson. So possibly if he were played by somebody else in the movie adaptations, I might not love PETA as much. But I just reread all of the Hunger Games books from January to March, and I still love this man. My other is definitely going to be Maxon, also from The Selection. Some of you are going to dox me for not saying Rhysand from A Court of Thorns and Roses. I just am not super into men with wings, although I love Rhys. I love A Court of Mist and Fury solely because of Rhys, and that's why I picked it as my favorite sequel. Okay, and moving on to G. G is for goal, and it is my 2025 reading goal. I am a very realistic reader. I'm a full-time student. I have a part-time job. I have a busy life. So I never set my reading goal too high because I'm a diehard perfectionist. And if I am not attaining a goal I set for myself, I feel like a failure, especially with the way the book reading community is. I feel like people fly through books. I'm a little bit more of a slow paced reader. I have to really picture the scene perfectly, picture the characters perfectly, and completely understand everything that's happening before I can move on. Nonetheless, I set my 2024 reading goal for 10 books. I did end up reading 10 books last year. This year, I set it for 12. I have already read 11 though, so I think it's safe to say that I will meet my 12 and I will hopefully surpass it. I plan on reading many more books for the rest of the year, so I will have to get back to you guys on what my end number was. Okay, and H is for Hidden Gem book, which I read a book called The Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Caños. I hope I'm saying that right.
It's definitely Ken Yas, but I digress.
I read it on my Kindle last year and I absolutely loved that book. I definitely recommend it for fans of vampire fantasy and also the Spanish culture in general. It was a very interesting book. I loved the dichotomy of fantasy compared to war. It was just really brilliantly done, and I highly recommend it for men and women alike. Another hidden gem for me is one of my all time favorite books, which is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I know it's not necessarily a hidden gem, but I feel like Twilight overshadows a lot of Stephanie's other work. And honestly, this is really the only book by Stephanie Meyer that I like. I love the Twilight movies, not a Twilight book fan. We'll talk about that later because I have beef with Twilight, to be honest. However, The Host never disappoints. I reread this book literally every year. I is for an important moment in your reading life. I feel like I've had so many. I have been an avid reader and writer since I was a little girl. I also recently just had a very important moment in my reading life when I started frequenting my city library and really getting involved in the programs and the benefits that they offer. And they just recently did a summer reading program. I obviously did it. And really, my goal was to get a free book. After you read for 1,000 minutes, you get to pick any book that you want. And I picked The Housemaid. The library buys it for you brand new. You pick it up and you get it. So I'm excited to start this. This is a Frida McFadden book. Very popular. You've probably heard of it. If you have read it, comment down below your thoughts on it because I have heard mixed reviews, but I am excited to start it. J is for just finished. So, my most recent book that I just finished, I don't have it physically because I borrowed it from the library, but it was called Eat the Ones You Love. It is by Sarah Maria Griffin and it is a fantasy horror mystery. I really liked it. I'm going to talk about it in a later book recommendation video, but it's basically about a evil sentient plant. That's all I'll say, but it did make me look at plants a little bit differently moving forward. K is for the kind of books that I won't read. There really aren't too many genres that I won't ever try. I'm not super fond of strictly romance books. I just have a very hard time finishing romance books. Obviously, I have read them and I love romance as a subplot. So, romantic horror, romantic fantasy, romantic mystery, that's fine. I just would prefer it not to be the sole driving force of the plot. L is for the longest book I've ever read. I have a lot of books in the 7 to 800 range. That tends to be a page amount that I prefer, especially in fantasy books. However, the longest book that I've ever read is the fifth book in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It is 870 pages long. She's thick. She's a baddie. M is for major book heartbreak. I'm going to give that to all of the Hunger Games books. However, this is probably one of the saddest books I've ever read in my life. It was one of my 5-star reads for this year. I devoured it. It will probably not be being reread ever, even though it will go in my holy grail of my favorite and best reads I've ever read. N is for the number of books that I own, so hold momentarily while I go count in my library. So I own 127 physical books. That is not including my collection of self-help books or any of the books that I own on my Kindle, but my actual physical chapter books are 127 strong. O is for one book that I've read multiple times. I've honestly done that with so many. Obviously, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Mortal Instruments, and The Host, obviously. P is for preferred place to read. Honestly, my preferred place in general is my bed. It's so comfy. This is my lovely bedroom. My favorite thing ever in the world is a YouTube ambiance. Right now, I have a coastal beach rain ambiance. I believe it's like Maine coastal ambiance or something on YouTube. So probably my room and my bed would be my preferred place to read with a little ambiance, a little candle, a little coffee or tea, and my baby Bram snuggling with me. That's my preferred place to read for sure. When the weather's nice, I also love reading outside, either in my backyard or at the pool. But I live in Arizona and right now it's 387 degrees. So my bed is going to be my final answer. Q is for a quote that you love. I honestly have so many. And another one of my pros for e readers is I love on the Kindle how you can highlight your favorite book quotes and it saves it for you on your Goodreads. So I have a lot. It was hard for me to pick just one, but I do want to give Catching Fire an honorable mention. Just the whole dialogue of Katniss and Peeta on the beach in the arena when he's like, nobody needs me. And she's like, I do. I need you. I mean, couldn't write it better myself. I also love a quote from the book So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison, which is another one of my honorable mentions in this video. It's one of my favorite romantic horror novels that I've ever read, but I'm going to read you the quote from the book. It's so beautiful. It says, "If only you could stare at your reflection, be face to face with the one who holds your joy hostage. Perhaps then you could forgive her. Perhaps then you could hope to fall in love with your future." Thank you, Rachel Harrison. I love you. R is for reading regret. And honestly, I'm a Doc's Twilight right now. I'm a huge Twilight fan. I literally have a Twilight calendar for my yearly calendar. And I love the Twilight movies. They're one of my all time comfort movies. I rewatch them probably monthly. So this year I decided it was finally time to read the series because I love the movie so much. When I tell you that I was physically ill reading the first Twilight book, I'm not being dramatic. I'm not trying to be funny. This is an SOS emergency. That was the worst flipping book I've ever read in my life. But it was so boring and so cringy that I could not bear more than 15 pages at a time. Although I regret reading it, I'm glad that I gave it a shot. I still love the movies so much. I do like Stephanie Meyer for the host and for creating the Twilight fandom and the characters, but I will never read those books and I will never recommend them to anybody that I care about.
Also, I just realized that I skipped over the letter S while I'm editing. So, S is a series that you're in the middle of right now, and that is The Hunger Games for me. I just have to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I plan on doing that in the next month.
T is for a TV adaptation of a book that I love. Honestly, I really prefer movie adaptations. I don't really like any of the TV adaptations that I've seen recently, like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I was not crazy about the show, although I love those books. So I'm going to just say The Summer I Turned Pretty because even though that show is a little bit cringy at times, I think it is a beautiful story. I like the actors and I love a beach setting. U is for unapologetic fangirl of, and it's definitely going to go to Butcher and Blackbird. I am so unapologetically obsessed with this book. My Goodreads review of it honestly explains my thoughts. If you have a Goodreads and you'd like to follow me, I'm going to link it below. Butcher and Blackbird is disgusting. It's weird. It's hot. It's scary. It's so good. It's such a page turner. I could not put it down. It is definitely a weird book, but I love it and I am such a fan of it. And I recommend it if you can stomach it. V is for very excited for this new release, and that is going to go to Play Nice, which is Rachel Harrison's new book that comes out in September of this year. I'm so excited. W is for worst reading habit, and it's probably going to be sort of how I mentioned earlier. I tend to DNF a lot of books. So if I'm not feeling it by like page 100, I'm not going to waste my time on it anymore. I have little time to read nowadays. So when I am reading, I really want to enjoy the book fully. X is for X Marks the Spot, and it's the 27th book on your bookshelf. I went and counted, and that is Nightbane by Alex Astor. I got maybe 3 chapters into this one, and I kind of wasn't in the mood for fantasy that month. So I am going to revisit this because I do really like the world of Lightlark. Y is for your latest book purchase, and that is going to be We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. I'm a big Grady Hendrix fan. However, I did not really like this book. It just wasn't really what I was expecting. I think I gave it 3 stars, but when I think back on it, it's kind of more of like a 2.5, 2.75 for me. Either way, I did buy this book, and I'm glad that I own it because I think it's such a pretty and cool cover. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like a very scary looking guitar pick. And last but not least, Z is for Z's, and that is going to be books that kept you up at night. So, in a bad way, it would be the book I just mentioned, We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. It was very disturbing in certain areas. I like horror books, but I am claustrophobic, and this book had some chapters that were claustrophobia inducing. On a good staying up at night book, it's going to be The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I just read that on my Kindle about 2 months ago, and I flew through it. I couldn't stop thinking about the mystery. I thought I had it figured out, and I actually did not. But thank you so much, everybody. And if you stayed through the whole video, comment below a pumpkin emoji because I am ready for fall and it is summerween right now. So let me know if you watched the whole video. Also, you can let me know your A to Z answers for this tag. And if you want to redo this video, I will list below the tag for the letters. I also just want to credit the YouTube channel Joe Mooncaster. I hope I'm saying her name right, but I did get the idea for this book tag challenge from her channel, so go give her a watch and a follow. I appreciate your views, and if you'd like to subscribe, you can do so below. I'll also list my Goodreads and my link tree for my TikTok where I also post reading videos. So yeah, thank you so much for staying for my first video, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.